This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Morning, gents.
Good morning.
Morning.
I tell you what, I've been driving into Absolute on a Saturday morning for the last 2 years for global pandemic reasons, and I always go exactly the same route. And this morning I missed my turning into our road and had to go all round central London. How do you explain that?
The struggle is real. I got 2 punctures.
Oh man. Okay, your hand. What you got,
like
Al?
Buses. They're like buses, aren't they? Punctures.
Not usually.
I felt, do you know, there's something quite shameful about getting. I mean, the one puncture's bad enough because you're that guy driving so slowly, everyone's honking you. But the 2, I got the double.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just getting a puncture. It's like something from Joss William. It doesn't feel like something from the adult world. Anyway, that's our a funny thing happened to me on the way to the theatre. Opening. Oh, I know. Here's the thing: there are certain things in life which I come across and they just make me happy. And I read this. This is a TV show from this week. I didn't even watch the TV show because I thought I'm afraid to watch it because it won't be as good as the description of it. Oh. But I read the description and I was in the kitchen on my own and I lay back on the sofa. We got a sofa in the kitchen. And
done well for yourself.
I just thought, oh, brave new world that had such people in it. And this was the description. Ross, I can't remember what the title is, but it says Ross Kemp. So far, so good.
I'm in.
Ross Kemp, who you might remember as often meets people like the Klan and sort of the mafia, and he's fearless. Ross Kemp finds out what happened to the animals who were rehoused after the closure of Michael Jackson's zoo.
That's great.
Imagine being in that meeting. Here's an idea.
Oh,
do you remember Michael Jackson's zoo? No. Did he have a zoo? He had a playground, didn't he? He had a zoo. Oh, imagine that, though.
I mean, Ross Kemp is fearless, providing he has a format and crew with him.
I know, but no, I think he probably. I think
he can handle himself.
Yeah, I think he can handle himself. I think he's got the right mix of gentle and he could kill if he had to.
Yes, I think that's true. There's something the bear about him.
I mean, when he was meeting the animals, I don't think he was wrestling with them. I think he was just finding out what had happened to them. But it's it's a bit like the Friends reunion. But the animal kingdom version. So although that tiger got it looking a bit old, the tiger, but that parrot, I must say, looks just like it did when it was in Michael Jackson's zoo.
They age very well.
Yeah. I met a lady this week who told me she didn't have a television, which is always...
What do you mean?
When someone says to me I don't have a television, I always think they might as well say I'm a little bit better person than you are.
Yeah.
They might just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Although I think a lot of the young people, they don't have a television, but they still watch television on computers and tablets. I think that's
they watch
the thing.
it on their laptop.
Well, that's a good point. But I think this
was she of an age where perhaps that was...
No, she was a really nice person. I was shocked and dismayed when she told me. And then she said, anyway, I've got to go now. And her son said, oh, I don't want to go. And I said, no, I wouldn't want to go back to that cave of gloom. And I wasn't sure how well... I did say that. I wasn't sure how well she...
Frank, I can't believe you said that. What did... I mean...
Look,
called her house a cave of gloom.
No, but it was a metaphor. I mean, how would Ross Kemp feel? He'd think I've been and seen all these animals all over California, and there's people who couldn't even be bothered to have a telly.
Okay.
I bet the parrot had some tails. Oh, I'll tell you what I had for the first time last week. Bubble tea. Have you had it?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man.
What did you think?
Oh, what are those sort of space dumplings in the bottom?
And did you have it through a straw?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that sensation when it's sort of jammed in the straw for a moment and then it's in...
You
I don't know if I
The
like
straw. I had the biggest diameter straw I've ever had in my
I'll stop boasting.
life. It was like when people used to steal petrol by sucking it up a
Yeah.
pipe
Yeah.
and then spitting it out.
You see, the youths, they love the bubble tea, and I like that because in my day,
Really?
I mean, we had the old Alco Pops, I'm afraid. I'm not proud. Whereas the youngsters now, they queue up round the block for the BT.
But there's something
It's
a
all
bit...
hooch back in your day, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
WKD.
I mean, when I say hooch, we mean the brand, not the sort of making it sound like Prohibition was my day.
No.
What was it?
Moonshine. In your day, it was moonshine.
That Elliot Ness, he ruined your teenage years. No, what was the pudding at school? Was it tapioca that had...
Semolina, tapioca.
the one that had it was frog spawn, they used to call it.
Yeah.
And that's what bubble tea feels like. It's got giant frog spawn in the bottom.
We didn't have that.
Didn't have that.
We had tarte au citron.
Oh yeah. how was that?
Very tart.
Sounds
Those
quite,
chants that really explore the divide backgrounds.
Tarte citron. I think I drove one of those in the 70s. Yeah, so I really liked it. I must say, I had passion fruit and strawberry.
Did you?
Passion fruit and strawberry always let me down. Yeah.
Well, that's not very good for their ad campaign.
For what?
You can't sing that for the
Always let
bubble
them
tea
down.
ad campaign.
It was from a place called Bobbleology. Is it all sold from Bobbleology, or could you go into Tesco's and get it? I'm not. But don't send me any, by the way. I've got money. I'm just talking about something that happened to me in the week.
Okay, it's a bit weird when you say, I've got money. Like,
Well, I don't. Some people say stuff on the radio thinking, "I'll send me some now," because I've said I like it.
Yeah.
But
No,
I don't want to get into that mercenary activity. Although.
No.
I have to say, I talked about blonde chocolate last week. Do you remember that?
Oh, don't
Oh, yeah.
say you've got some.
And I had Angela from Edinburgh said, "Dear Frank, I heard you talk about your blonde..." No, I won't. I heard you talk about your blonde Easter egg on the show. Well, it gets very open here sometimes.
Yeah.
And I thought you might like this. I discovered blonde chocolate recently, and then I discovered blonde chocolate with caramelised pistachios, and then she writes in block capitals, "Blimey!" exclamation mark. It's not very Edinburgh, is it?
Good.
It's sort of slightly in the trenches.
Yeah.
Blimey.
So
Put that Lucifer out.
So did you get the chocolate from her then?
I did. And she said it's got sea salt. No, they just can't get chocolate without something savoury in it.
Yeah.
If you want to be.
Oh, yeah, I would actually.
See, I thought you'd say, no, I'm on a diet. You know that thing when you offer something and then somebody says yes and you think, no. I don't think you understood the nature of that
Were you
offer.
doing the equivalent of offering me a crisp whilst clutching the bottom of it?
Yes.
Well, I think,
know what I
when
mean?
people
Audio
say,
version of
look,
that.
do you want me to go and get you anything from the chemist or something if you're not? Obviously, don't want me to do that. That would be a real nuisance. But when you look back on this, you'll remember me offering it. And I think you both know it's not a real offer, obviously.
You're absolutely right. I broke the social contract. It's a bit like if you'd have said, do you want me to bring anything to dinner? And you said, oh, actually, yeah. I would be very upset about
Well,
that.
I went to my dentist recently and he was telling me, I did an interview at the British Library with Rob Ince. You know Rob Ince, the high-profile atheist comic?
Oh, Robin Ince.
Robin Ince.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I call him Rob.
Talking about him like he plays for Man City.
And when I he was so pleased to be interviewing me that he gave me this quite old-fashioned science fiction book that he'd bought, an old sort of pulp thing, lovely. And he goes to the same dentist as me, and I discovered the other day, my dentist said, Frank Skinner's coming in after. He said, I'll tell you something about Frank Skinner. He said, I was really excited I'd bought this, found this book in a second-hand shop. It's really, old fat. I was showing it him, and he assumed it was a gift, and he just took it away. So, Robin, I'm going to give it you back. He won't be listening. I don't know. What time do I think you get up? There's nothing to get up for at the weekend.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Here's a question. There are things in life where you're told and you just accept them, and then one day you think, hold on. And I think it's one that struck me the other day. Can you honestly sit in the front of a car with a person and they can have the heating on like 24 degrees and you can have it on 16 and that works when you're sitting next to them?
Oh, what you mean when they have the split?
That, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mean when they have the split control?
Yeah.
Which give the illusion that you're in.
They're sitting next to me. When does that heat stop?
Well,
yeah.
Al, I see, as the motoring expert, I think we should put this to you, counsellor.
I think this is physics.
Yeah, I think it is. But I think you're right. You'd think it would cancel out eventually and you'd both end up with 18 or 20.
You're going to mingle.
It's
going to work the way relationships work, that eventually you're going to sort of bleed into each other and you're going to get a bit like them and they're going to get a bit like you.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Any road up. I went to the circus last week.
Did you?
Gifford's. You know Gifford Circus? It's very nice.
No?
They don't do... Can I just confirm something? They don't have animals anymore, do
There
they?
was a horse.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Do they not do elephants in the tutus?
No, they don't have elephants standing on those like little stools. You used to look at those stools and think, God, wouldn't have thought that'd take an elephant.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
They've become
They
really
don't.
work shy, haven't they, over the years?
Yeah.
No, it's very cruel.
I think they got unionised or something.
They don't do the dancing bears.
My granddad believed that chimpanzees could talk because he was walking back through a field. He walked back through a field where a circus was sort of parked up for the night. Well, it had been in there, it was closed down. And he walked past the chimpanzee cage and he swore he heard them just talking to each other in the night. And honestly, he maintained this to the day he died. He absolutely believed they could talk. And when people asked him, well, if they can talk, why don't they talk? Why is no one else? He said, of course they're not going to talk openly. He said, first thing you know, they'd be down the pit. He said, if there was a war, they'd be the first ones in. So they keep it to themselves. It's a perfectly reasonable theory when you put it like that. Anyway, this is what I saw. There was two girls. And they did the trapeze thing, but they hung from their hair.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I thought, well, this can't be right. So I took photos
Oh, I see.
of them, and
Did
I
you?
thought, when I get home, I'll do the Victorian fairies thing. I'll go into Zoom, and I'll be able to see some support wire or something. But I did it. But I honestly come away believing that they swung and span around by their hair. What do you
Okay.
make of that?
I'll tell you what I make of it. Cool story, bro, because I think you're doing this to cover yourself because Kath saw you zooming in on photos of the ladies.
Well, if you see the photos, you'll see they're not something that you'd...
But at least we know they've not got extensions.
Well, no, but
Yeah,
maybe they have, but they're tungsten. I'm gonna put the pictures on social media because if anyone can spot, I think they honestly hung by their hair and spun around and all stuff like that. I mean, it sounds nightmarish.
Why would you put yourself through that?
Well, the show
Money.
must go on.
Must it though?
Money.
Well, I think probably once the tickets are out there.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Is it expensive, the circus?
It was worth it.
Was it?
There was one act. I'll tell you about it
Is
after.
there ringmaster jacket, just quickly? Does he wear the red jacket still?
He?
She?
Oh, ha, ha. It was a woman, actually.
Lovely.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
we were talking about these women who hung by their hair and looking at the pictures. And the theory, Emily's theory, and I think that basically the female half of the team think that there's some sort of tights involved. I don't know why you could hang from tights and that would be okay on the hair. But on the other one, I said, no, if you look at the other pictures and look at it looks like, just looks like bare hair. And bare hair, of course, is the telephone directory entry of Hair Bear, who used to be in the Hair Bear bunch. I don't know how many there were in the
He was
Bear
called that
family.
in the German version,
He
wasn't
was.
he?
By the way, I should explain, when I said the Victorian fairies, I was talking about, they claimed that in a garden somewhere they had seen fairies and they took photos of them, and Arthur Conan Doyle, if I remember rightly, of Sherlock Holmes fame, completely bought into it. Said they were genuine.
Yeah, he fell for a few of those big things, didn't he?
And then when they had... Yeah. And,
Very gullible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to do a version of No Something Sherlock, but I couldn't think of a clean way of doing it. I had to just let it go. Professional to the last.
Well done. Well
to
done.
the very last. Yeah, the thing that I love for all these people like risking their lives and that in the circus and swinging off things. I tell you the thing I hadn't seen for years, a quick change artist they had.
Oh, yeah.
And she was fantastic. I thought, wow, this is the future, is quick change. And there was a bit where a
I've
bloke...
no idea how they do it. Do you have any idea?
What do you mean?
idea.
So what they do is you just watch them get undressed or something?
Well, but this is how quick it is. You know, if there's one thing that a clown likes, it's a bucket full of glitter.
Oh,
You know
on
that.
a car horn. I mean, come on.
Oh, they love that. But, sort of ticker tape in a bucket. So there's a clown, he tips that over her, and by the time it's all, the cascade has stopped coming out the bucket, she's changed into a completely different outfit.
Oh, shut up.
I mean, come on!
Wow.
If this was 70s, I'd say, you know how long it takes women to get changed in the morning?
Say it more.
But yeah, it's really, she done about a dozen costumes in about 5 minutes.
You wonder if the spies have cottoned on to the quick change artists' techniques, because that would be very handy for your double agent, wouldn't it? Like to...
Or shoplifters, people running away from banks.
We should say Absolute Radio does not give advice
Escapees
to
generally.
shoplifters.
No.
No, but if there were one and they were thinking about it, then that's, quite shrewd, I would say.
Yeah. What you need to do is, if you have a shop, don't sell quick change outfits, is my advice. That's just going to blow up in your face.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Here's a thing.
Actually, we've
carry
had
on.
a text from 597 who's a.k.a. Simon of Sudbury.
Oh, yes.
Who says, this explains how Superman and Spider-Man get into character so quickly. They started in the circus as quick change artists. I'm not sure they did. I think he's just joining in with the quick change
I think I
artist
explained
balance.
last week that Robin started. I don't mean Robbins. I mean Robin of Batman and Robin. He started, but he wasn't a quick change artist. He was,
The Robbins thing that's making me feel ill, that book.
he was one of the flying graces.
Wholly unreturned book, Batman.
I know.
I can't live with it.
I'm going to give it him. No, it wasn't his own return. It was never for me in the first place. Awful.
Well, it turns out,
he told
Frank. Sorry, Al, I was going to say, you know that what your mother used to say, I believe it, what's for you won't pass you by. Not so in Frank's
Yeah, what's for
case.
you won't go by you.
Yeah, not so. Frank will reach out and grab it.
No, well, my partner tells a story of when she's a child. She went round the neighbour's house and the woman offered her a plate, offered her a sandwich.
Oh, nice.
And she thought she was being offered the whole plate, so she just took it up. Look, it was about 40 sandwiches and took it back home. And the woman, I would have let it go, but the woman came back to get it.
Well,
I hope they choked her.
we've all had... I had it once with my godfather's boyfriend, gave me a copy of Union of the Snake, Duran Duran. And I said, thanks so much. And he was Australian. He was called Bruce.
Yeah.
And but nevertheless, this story is true, even though it sounds made up.
But did he say, did he let it go? Or did
No. He said, oh, no, that's mine, love.
Okay. Well, Robin Instant didn't. He's a very sort of gentle fellow. He couldn't do
It
it.
could be too nice, can't they, some people?
Yeah, it can be too nice. That's the problem, Incy.
Yeah.
Incy Wincy.
The governor, as we call him.
I tell you what I was thinking about. I tried tubing
What?
recently.
Tried what?
Tubing.
Going on the tube?
No, I've done that before. It's not that exciting.
Is this more bubble tea stuff?
No.
With the big straw.
Tubing. No, I've bought a Bane outfit. No, listen, tubing
Yeah.
is you go to an artificial ski slope and you sit on a sort of what looks like a dinghy, an inflatable circle, like a big donut, and you just sit on it and get at the top, and then you just go down the slope on that. And I tried it, and what the bloke didn't say to me, this was at Gloucester Ski Centre, that there's a bit of a step at the bottom. So as we came down, it went down, and my teeth slammed together, honestly. Like, I really felt it. And I thought, if I'd have had my tongue in there, I would have just bit my tongue off. Then what would the radio show have been like? And it occasionally in life you get a near miss. And they're not always, sometimes they're just, I was on the One show, and before we went on, the researcher or someone who worked on the show said, we're just going to walk through the beginning just to make sure we got it. So I went out there thinking that we were rehearsing a bit before the live show. So I'd have been quite happy to use some explosive swear words. And it suddenly occurred to me after about a minute and a half that this was the show, that she was giving me wrong information. I was live on television. That could have destroyed my career, and maybe choked an old lady in Bolton who was just having a drink of tea when I released a string of expletives. So I was just thinking about near misses. That's what I was thinking about. If anyone else has had any non-terrible near misses, I'd love to hear about it.
Okay.
What about that?
Would you like to hear from Anna Banana very briefly?
Well, no.
Well, okay,
because the producer looked at me like daggers then, like I'd suggested it.
I'm going to tease it. She's got an answer to the whole trapeze hair question.
Oh, fantastic. Is she called Anna Banana? We've had her before, haven't she?
Yeah.
Haven't she? That's an anagram of a perfectly reasonable sentence.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Anna Banana.
Anna Banana.
Oh, we were on a cliffhanger, weren't we?
Do you remember, Al?
We were on an Anna Banana cliffhanger, yeah.
We were.
The most dangerous cliffhanger of all, I would have thought.
A single strand of hair can hold 100 grams. So all your hair together, attached by a metal ring, can take your weight.
But doesn't it really...
Googled because I didn't know. I mean, I suspect, that rather depends on your weight.
Doesn't it really, really hurt?
Anna Banana doesn't
I would say.
confirm either way.
Oh, okay. Bit vague. It's a slippery response from the banana. A berry, of course. Let us not forget.
Nick or Chuck?
Banana.
A banana is officially a berry.
Yeah. Who's your favourite berry?
My favourite berry, Choc.
Oh, mine's Nick.
Yeah, I know Choc rather disgraced himself in later years, but his early days...
That's one way of putting it. I think he's a very problematic character, Frank.
He was, but I like the music, let's put it that way. I've separated the man from the music.
You know
Speaking of which, I went to a Wagner opera at the weekend.
Please separate the man.
Yeah, and Lohengrin, do you know it?
Yeah.
The thing with Lohengrin is that the main guy, Lohengrin, who you would have liked, Emily, because he wore a suit with no shoes and socks.
Oh.
Which was the classical pianist found on beach look. Do you remember that story?
Yeah.
They found a man on a beach in a suit with no shoes and socks, and was he a classical pianist or was it a complete hoax? I can't remember.
I'm afraid it was a complicated story, but yes, he was found on the beach. He was barefoot and he was a fabulous piano player. I'm afraid he could play the piano, but I think he did have more knowledge of who he was than perhaps he'd initially let on.
Yes.
It was a classical
He might have
pianist.
deliberately forgotten some of it.
Well, quite, Al.
What if that guy had arrived in the canoe at the same time? A double scam? No, don't do it today, mate. I'm doing my scam today. This is my pitch.
That's all my crushes rolled into one.
Exactly. Anyway, Lohengrin arrives drawn by a giant swan. That's the arrival. He's on like a little, boat pulled by a giant swan. So when you go and see that, you think, wee, swan, swan, swan. The audience at the Royal Opera House are going, swan, 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 beforehand.
Were they?
No. And then...
Did they have cut off?
And then the way they did it was the singers going, "Oh, here comes a giant swan," and looking into the audience. And I think there was a bloke at the back doing that sort of hand shadows that they do.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, hold it, 192 quid a ticket. Where's me swan?
Wow.
Where's me? It sold Poultry, 192 quid a
You
ticket.
didn't even do a swan for that money.
No, absentee foul? I think not.
They could have thrown some feathers at the top.
They could have had a big giant swan, what they got made with their profits. But no, we all had to imagine. We couldn't even, it was like over our shoulder. I suppose I'd have said, no, there was one at the back. If you'd have turned round, we had a massive one at the back, but nobody turned round.
Oh, I would love to see that in the opera section of The Guardian. They could have had a giant swan, what they got made with their profits.
It was, I felt very, very let down.
Did you shout, "Bring on the feathers"?
I shouted, "Where's me swan?" What if I'd started swan, all the posh people go, "No, absolutely. You know he's got a point. Swan. Oh, man. Tight wads.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
They say you can't see the wood for the trees sometimes, and that you see the big picture and you don't see the small things in front of you that really count. Yes. Yeah. We'll ignore that, Emily.
Sorry, I didn't mean so sorry.
We've got two amazing berries of our own at Absolute Radio, which we forgot to mention in our favourite berries.
Nate H has pointed out, surely working for Absolute, your favourite berry should be, Frank?
Well, that they suggest Dave, but Matt, of course, is also one of the voices.
Oh, it's Matt as well.
Yeah, of Absolute.
Well, I've recently been watching Toast, the popular television show that Matt Berry is both in and I think co-created and co-wrote. And I'm very late to the party, but it's ever so funny.
It is ever so funny. I like the one. There's a bit that sticks in my memory when he says. My problem is I can't do the voice, but I don't care. I have no interest in the opinions of others. I completely disrespect other people. I don't care what they think. And his agent said, maybe you could be a director.
Oh.
But we are big Dave Berry fans. I get up to him every morning. So, in fact, he'll be furious because he was doing some stuff about Lohengrin this week, and he'll probably think I've ripped that off, but it was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
No, it's a very fine and funny show, and I'm not just saying that because I work here. So what about that?
Okay.
You're gonna have to trust me. But now we're on the company man thing. Great news today. I'm gonna do. Where's? Here we go. Great news today. I've got my mojo back.
What do you mean?
Mojo, the music magazine,
Oh.
which is produced by our parent company, Bauer. I've been saying to the producer for weeks, where's me free mojo?
Oh, I hate it when you say that.
Yeah, and anyway, it has arrived. A Grateful Dead live CD stuck to the front and a big picture of Liam Gallagher on the cover. But I love it. I'd recommend it. This has nothing to do with the fact that it's made by It's a real cracker.
It's all for all your
You
Grateful
get things-
Dead news.
Like there was a letter in there not so long ago really laying into Lester Bangs and saying, you know, he's very, he's writing, he's just narrow-minded. And Lester Bangs died like about 40 years ago. It's people who really, really, really care about music, and I'd recommend it very much. God, I've got all that out my system. No.
Okay, Ruth Jordan, one of our regulars.
The morning sun shone down upon the eyes of Ruth Jordan.
Nevertheless, Ruth Jordan says Frank's opera sans swan complaint reminds me of a story
Swan.
he used to tell of seeing Macbeth in Malvern in an
Oh.
audience of mainly school kids. Over to you, Frank Skinner.
Well, it's supposed to be bad luck to quote
the Scottish
Macbeth,
play.
but I'm a Roman Catholic. I can't be accepting things like that. So, yeah, there's the bit where he goes, "Is this a dagger I see before me?" A kid behind said, "They should have had one on a string." Really quite loudly. But he carried on. Yeah, I like a bit of the old theatre where they can't afford to do the whole. But I mean, not at the Royal Opera House. You pays your money.
Those prices.
You takes your swan. That's my thing. Someone thinking, we could save 20 grand if we don't build this. They just got the drawings in front of them.
Yeah.
They could have caught one. They could have had a 2D thing.
They could have just got a couple of cuddly toys. I mean, would it have killed them?
No, they can't. That might have killed the drama if he'd arrived.
Oh, what? People shouting, swan, swan.
If he'd arrived with a bloke in an emu puppet. I mean, if you're going to go swan, go swan. That's what I say.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So have you had any near misses, Glenn Davis? I had a casting for Shane.
Shane was my...
And then he continues, not sure how non-terrible this was.
I wonder if it was one or two, though. It depends. That's what measures its
Which is worse, that too?
Well, depends what you think. 'Cause in case you don't know, I wrote a sitcom and I wrote 2 series which were all filmed and stuff.
Yeah.
The first one went out. The second one is still in the can. So even though it was made, edited, dubbed, everyone was paid, it's just not worthy in the view of ITV. So in a way, if you're in the second one, that's a bigger thing because it wasn't good enough to be broadcast in some people's opinion. But if you're in the first one, you would have got broadcast. So maybe that is a more of a near miss.
Yeah.
But great if you were in the second one and you didn't think that your performance was particularly good. And you were thinking,
Well, you'd have a lot in common with the ITV executives if you thought
And
that.
it's not going out, but I'm still on full whack.
Yeah, I sometimes think that Lee Mack's not going out was a dig at Shane too. But I've never asked him about it. It's a bit of a coincidence. 2 comics write a sitcom. One fails, one succeeds. I mean, just twist the knife.
Yeah.
Macco.
I was in that. I was in Not Going Out.
I remember you because I've seen every single episode.
Well, I
I
was
love
in.
that show. And I remember seeing you in it. Can I just say, it was a very good performance.
I was
Late
also
review?
warm up on the same evening.
Was she really? Oh,
yeah,
you broke the magic of theatre. Have you never listened to the words of Hugh Binky Beaumont, who said
What
never
are
let
those
the
words?
audience see you before the show it's because of the magic of theatre?
Yeah.
Hugh Binky Beaumont doesn't get enough name checks on commercial radio.
John Hopkins.
Hopkins.
I took the kids kite flying last week. failed miserably as it was too windy. It was only, we're going to put this categorise this under the near misses. It was only when we finished that I noticed an electricity pylon and where they'd been kite flying, and memories from my 70s childhood, I'm afraid, came flooding back.
Yes, there used to be an advert when they used to have public service adverts. For example, don't overcrowd your car. And my particular favourite, wear something white at night. A white raincoat or a hat is swell. A shopping bag will do as well. Just use your ingenuity and wear a garment we can see.
Is that right? Oh, that's what. Maybe
good.
Wham were being responsible then, because they liked a lot of white.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's a bit, okay, it doesn't matter to us as long as you're conspicuous.
Wow.
But yes, there was one with someone flying a kite, and then
Well, a frisbee gets trapped. There's always called Timmy as well. They go, no, Timmy! And
don't climb it, don't climb that.
they're always a little bit oddly posh, the children, as well, 'cause they're from drama school.
Yeah. I remember. Do you remember that ice cream might have been you? As a kid, just going to dash out into the road, and somebody grabs him, someone like the Green Cross man, and he drops his ice cream goes in the road, and the car goes over it, and he says that ice cream might have been you. Wow. All right.
Part road safety, part existential crisis.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Do you want to hear about some more near misses?
Yeah.
Okay. Gem.
Right.
I got up to go to the bar in a pub. That's it.
Okay.
No. And a ceiling fan crashed onto the table from above where I'd been sat 2 seconds prior. The macabre thing was I was drinking cocktails called Nail in the Coffin.
Wow.
I mean, come on, that is quite something.
That is quite... I wonder, would you get like a free drink from the pub or something?
Well, it depends on the pub.
Yeah.
Some pubs, no.
Okay.
SF? Oh, that'd be a nice friend for you, Frank.
SF, what you think it's going to be? It might not be
Sci-fi.
science fiction, though. It could be just like Sheila Ferguson from... or Sarah Ferguson, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, hasn't she been through enough? Anyway, carry on.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can carry on after that.
He doesn't want to dwell for good
No.
reason.
Extraordinary. Cult.
In our house, we always root for the gingers in public life. That's how we swing.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Okay. They do. They look out for each other. I like that.
Well, my son, when he heard that Ben Stokes was the England captain, was beside himself this week.
What about when I said to Faye, who works with us, I said, I was going to, the presenter, Angela Scanlon. She went, oh, of course I know her.
Yeah.
Redhead.
Well, my son had to do, when he was at his old school, he had to do a thing called role models, and you had to write about your role model and do a drawing. And he did Ben Stokes. It was about a month after the nightclub incident,
Oh,
but we hadn't told him.
oh no.
Stick with a cricket.
Did you say, oh, no?
But he actually said, I love him because he's a brilliant batter and a brilliant bowler, and he's got the same colour hair as me. I thought, that's just upfront it.
Yeah.
Completely upfront it. Well, anyway, enough.
SF. Train crash on Christmas Eve just outside Zagreb.
Yeah. When we said non-terrible there, Mrs.
No, it's all right. I
Okay.
don't think there were fatalities, so
Okay,
it's
good.
fine.
Okay.
Luckily, we didn't tip over, but a nun stole my seat on the train.
Oh. Is the next bit going to be a girder that went through her chest or something like that?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no darkness to this. It was a train crash. It was unfortunate, but obviously, I don't know if anyone perished. It seems like they didn't. But the bad thing that happened was the nun stole the seat.
Do you know we could, if we wanted to...
Some of them have a superior air, don't they?
Very good. We could, if we wanted to, completely destroy the business that is Nail in the Coffin cocktails. If at the end of every one of these near misses we added And the funny thing is, I was drinking a nail in the coffin cocktail at the time. We have that power at our fingertips. We can finish them.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a lot of people also getting in touch about the mechanics of the hair pulling
Yeah.
with the trapeze artist.
Oh, yeah.
For example, Julianne. Pulleys and guide cables to control the spinning motion of the performer are used.
No, I don't. Did they?
Don't
So
believe that.
Julianne continues.
Can I just tell you, if I'm at the
Well,
circus,
okay.
I'm at the circus and someone's on the trapeze or something, and they click on a safety thing, I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone for the next 10 minutes.
Do you want to hear more? Because she knows.
Putting bad reviews on TripAdvisor.
Yeah, I just what's the point?
Julianne, as Frank McClintock once said of me, which I was delighted to hear, she knows her onions.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was at Highbury.
You didn't know how much you hate onions.
Well, it was the worst thing he could have said. Julianne, hair hanging is essentially a form of high wire act. Backstage, the performer's hair is carefully braided around a steel loop. During the act, the loop is attached to a steel cable. I feel I've lost you.
Wow.
I'm just trying to picture why that stops the hair pulling.
Because assistants in the wings are using the guide cables and pulleys to control their motion.
I'm sorry, I'm not having that.
Frank, you can't just say no when you don't know
It's a
something.
I think you
circus.
can.
There are no
The whole
wings.
thing's a circus.
How would you have felt if you'd have gone backstage and said, "Where's the swan?" and someone had said no?
No,
The only
but
backstage bit's surely out of tent, isn't it? Isn't that the whole point?
they didn't. No, no.
They didn't
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about
I
that.
wouldn't want to be in an act like that you could potentially harm your own chances of survival by inadvertently using a tangle teaser.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, or, the wrong shampoo, man, you're out.
You see, Tangle Teaser, that's my favourite Dragons Turn Me Down story. What's
Yeah.
yours? There's been a few. I love Dragons Turn Me Down
Oh,
stories.
is that what happened? Someone went on with Tangle
That's right.
Teaser.
And they said, "Don't
Yeah.
be ridiculous." And Deborah Meaden inevitably said, "Al."
What did she say?
Well, she says her catchphrase.
What is that?
Well,
She
know
only
it.
says one. I'm afraid I'm out.
Okay.
That's
It's
it.
not, I mean,
Shit.
she hasn't really. She hasn't pushed the boat out with that catchphrase.
It's Meaden. She's a business person.
I know.
What do you want?
It's right up there with Johnny Cash's catchphrase. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Worst catchphrases.
No, it's brilliant 'cause it's unstealable. You can't have, like,
Well, you could half steal it. Pat had a go, I reckon.
Pat Cash.
Pat Cash.
Could
Yeah.
have half stole it.
Hello, I'm Pat Cash. Hello? That's the trouble. It
Pat
doesn't
Cash,
have
of
that
course.
level of gravitas where you think this is obviously a sort of thing we don't respond to.
Oh, will you?
Hello, how did you get my number?
Pat Cash couldn't steal Johnny Cash's outfit either because
No, you couldn't
all
play.
England clubs.
You probably could
like-
nowadays.
I'll tell you what, that's a
Yeah,
bit
good
petty.
point.
What's that?
Thank
Good?
you, Al. Yeah.
Should have been a bit patty.
No, petty cash.
Oh, I see. Well, did anyone call him Patty Cash?
I should have.
I hope they did.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Oh, you went a bit GG's there.
Yeah, that's...
How did your horse do, I wonder? Do you remember, was it Terrible Old Git or something?
yeah, I can't remember how that... I don't know what won the Grand National even.
I tell you who would. Old
Yes.
Michael Owen.
Oh, or
Cornelius
Cornelius
Lycett.
Lycett, of course.
Yeah.
No, Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll. As I recall it, there used to be a TV programme called The Arrows that had a boy band sort of thing who were all very, very handsome. In the early days when they didn't realise that they could do it without playing instruments, so they played instruments, these guys.
Yeah.
And they sang I Love Rock and Roll in their lovely, sweet, good-looking way. And then Joan Jett sort of, covered it and made it a bit more raunchy. But for me, it'll always be The Arrows.
Can I just ask you something? I just want to spill my guts briefly. It won't take long.
Okay.
And we can clear it up afterwards. It's just a brief one.
Okay.
What do you think of this? This might be tricky for you, Frank, to navigate. I went to the football with David Deal last week. He asked me. It was very nice. He sent me the text. And at first I thought, oh, that's nice. Important game. Champions League place at stake. I thought, fine, I'll go. Then, it was when he called me, he said, yeah, I'm so glad you can come. He said, I asked Frank, but he couldn't make it.
Right.
Okay. I can live with that. I don't mind being a deputy to Frank Skinner. But then he said, yeah, I asked Patrick Marlborough as well.
Okay.
He couldn't make it. So I was third on the list.
That you know about. He might have seen your facial expression and thought, I better not tell her the next 27 people that I asked.
To be honest, well, I think free stuff, I don't mind being on a list, you know what I mean? As long as I get it.
Yeah.
And also, I hadn't actually said no. I was in a meeting, dear, when I got the text. So when I was going to get back to him, and then he said, I've already given it to Emily Dean. He said it's better than an Arsenal fan goes, because it was Arsenal Chelsea. So
because I'm really glad you said that, because I love to spend an evening with David, but I was thinking
I bet that evening, because Arsenal won at Stamford Bridge.
He was so strict, guys. He said you can't look happy, you can't look excited, you've got to suppress your elation. I said I know what the deal is.
You should really bring along people like me that can never look happy or excited.
Well, I once stood up
for that.
I once stood up and cheered at Ibrox when England scored against Scotland, and I was in the Scotland end. Because everyone had been saying, oh, all right, Frank, and have a picture and all that. And I thought, oh, lovely, friendly, genial crowd. And then when they scored, I went, wee! And they were all going, get him here! It was really got horrible and scary.
I feel like I pretended I shapeshifted, though. I'm more of a coward than you. I don't have your integrity.
No, this was stupidity, not brave. The second goal, I went, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I found it very stressful because I felt such a cheat when I left. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress.
Well, I sympathise because I am a tremendous believer in segregation at football matches, because I once went to...
women on one side.
No, I went to Chelsea West Brom. Do women go? I went to Chelsea West Brom and I sat with him in the Chelsea bit, David, and I've never called him David in my life.
He's a nice person
we're all
to go
joining
to the football with, to be fair.
And all around I could hear, come on, Chelsea, beat this rubbish. And I thought, I can't cope with this. I'm never sitting amongst away fans again. Well, I mean, they were home fans, but... I don't want to hear their opinions.
It's a very difficult thing. I just think you feel it's very Trojan horse. The whole thing makes me feel... I realised I would be a very bad spy.
I just don't want to know their opinions. I want to be amidst our biased opinions, not their biased opinions against us. There's a very good reason people are separate at football. Let's stick with that. Yeah, just don't take out I'm pro-segregation and use that as a trailer. Yeah. That could be career threatening.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Can I say, I had an email came to the show today which made me very, very happy, which was Andrew from Dublin, who said, on your recommendation, I went to see The Lovely Eggs, and it was a really great gig. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Little moments like that.
Yeah.
They make me happy.
It's interesting that you don't look at the emails that praise the actual show, but you are prepared to look at emails where you've recommended something that says a lot about your humility, that, I think.
Well, I was walking...
Well done,
thank you. I was walking past... Emily's computer screen, and I noticed Holly from The Lovely Eggs on a picture, which is why I looked at it, and the guy had his pic with her.
I thought you were going to say you noticed that lookalike that someone had sent in.
No, there's someone sent in a Frank Skinner lookalike, which I think I mean, I'm not a vain man when it comes to appearance, but I thought that was harsh. Maybe we should put that.
Took a hit.
The gentleman is an underwater acoustics consultant.
Another one of those.
Aren't we all, dear?
Yeah. Did he do...
Can we share this, Frank? How would you feel about us sharing? I mean,
no,
if
share
you are
it.
willing to share this, you are a big man.
I'm happy for you to share it. I think we should share it.
Okay.
I've now got a suggestion for a potential another friend of the show. As you know, the show has many friends, but occasionally we have to kind of release them because they go from being kind of lovable eccentrics to despots.
Yeah.
But we've got. I would like to put forward Dean Pugh, who's been in the news this week.
Is he a local clergyman?
Have a pew. He's been in the news this week because he's been eating pot noodles for 30 years or more, and he has a pot noodle a day. He's known as Mr. Noodle and Noodle King sometimes.
Noodle
He's
King.
actually got 3 pot noodle vending machines.
Has he?
And I think he should be someone that we discuss, but not least for. I mean, I've got a contrarian streak, as you know.
Yeah.
But in a world that shuns carbs, this guy is really swimming against the tide, isn't he?
Well,
You've got to have a passion now. You've got your Marshalls. I've got small furry dogs. Frank has got 1970s actors saying, "I am the supreme being." We've all got something. He's got pot noodles.
but you know what? What worries me about this is it says friends called me. I turned up to a couple of. He's a metal detector guy, a detectorist.
Yeah.
He said I turned up to a couple of those dudes with. Pot noodles, and my friends started calling me Mr. Noodle and Noodle King. And then I started eating them every day. What is this? Life imitates art. It sounds to me like the reason he's eating them is, we all seek an identity that's generally graspable to others.
Yeah.
His friends had gone to all that effort to come up with names like Mr. Noodle and Noodle King.
Yeah.
Which you could argue Mr. Cod and Burger King might think, well, that's just taken our basic template and not done very much with it. And I'll be interested to see how that turns out legally. But I think because they've called him that, he's decided he's going to marry himself to pot noodles. That's what I think has happened.
It's too cynical the way he's done it.
I'm not happy with it.
No, I don't think he's married himself. It says in it he's got a wife.
No.
Which respect him under.
But every day he says, I feel now that he's keeping up appearances as Hyacinth Bouquet used to do. I worry he's going to make himself poorly, Dean Pugh. And also, what about when he wants to? When he no longer wants to be Noodle King and Mr. Noodle, and when he wants to go back to being Dean Pugh, he might find himself in Mr. Go Compare territory, where we watch the adverts and say, "We don't want the real guy. Why is the real guy on spoiling it?" Who cares about the real guy? Sing the song.
Put your tash back on.
The real guy and talking about his career. What are you talking about? An advert. Get out. Sing it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now we're talking about this. What is he called, Frank? Was it Noodle King?
Dean Pugh.
Yeah.
Dean Pugh, yeah. Noodle King, Mr. Noodle.
Fan.
Mr. Noodle.
The article says Dean Pugh has dined out on the popular snack every day for nearly a decade, and it's the first time for
lovely
ages
skin,
that
I bet he's got.
I've heard the phrase dined out, but meaning actually food.
Dined out, yeah.
What do you think of
usually
this?
means an anecdote, doesn't it?
Well, the man says he's a super fan, and they say he reckons he's had at least 4,000 in his lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, I would say this. Let's say Frank Skinner, he loves an ESM.
What is that?
Extra strong mint.
Oh, yeah.
I would say, how many do you think you have? I'd say a packet a day.
Well, no, Ocado. We have Ocado once a week, and they generally bring me a 7-pack.
And that lasts you a week.
So I guess that is a pack,
You have a packet a day.
Yeah, it's a pack a day, that.
Yeah.
Okay, Al.
It's a long way of agreeing with Emily, that, Frank.
Yeah, it was. I'm just doing the math. Will you let me do the math?
7 packs a
Could
week.
you make your next book A Long Way of Agreeing with Emily? So we're looking at, I think, what, Aladdin, what's that? 365 a year?
Mm.
Okay. So he's...
Is it?
Yeah. 1 packet a day.
Yeah, this is more maths.
Yeah, so there you go. He's had a considerably more. You've been doing that. You've had that ESM habit for at least 20 years. I would say you've had more than 4,000 packets.
Yeah, but...
You're saying, where's Frank's news story?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because no one calls me Mr. Mint. That's why, or King Mint. That's why.
Mr. Minted.
Mr. Minted.
Yeah, I've been called that, but that was a long time ago. I'll tell you what I did. On the strength of this story, I was shopping and I had a look at a pot noodle. I haven't picked a pot noodle up since the old king died. And
the old King Noodle.
And it said exactly. I looked up chicken and mushroom. I went for. So I looked at the ingredients.
You shouldn't have done that.
Mushroom.
Oh, that's good.
0.4%. We're talking less than a 200th of the whole is mushroom.
It's just a suggestion.
What's that? That's like, you know, when you scrape off the top of the dome of the mushroom and you get one section.
I don't think it's that. I don't even think it's that. But then,
No.
well, obviously, where did I go then? Looking in the ingredients, in that it's called chicken and mushroom.
How much chicken then?
Yeah.
Turns out chicken is what I would call the Scarlet Pimpernel of the chicken and mushroom pot noodle. It is, for the second time this week, Sans Poultry. The absentee fell. No swan, no chicken. That's a double header for me. There is no chicken.
Chicken.
And look, I'm going to say it again. There is no chicken in pot noodle, chicken and mushroom.
We might get sued.
Why bring it up if it's not in there? I mean, what do you mean?
And they could have got away with it if they'd have just gone for one of those, sometimes what these brands do, they'd have just called it Dixie mushroom noodle
Yeah, something like that. But if
An
I'd gone and
allusion to
seen Morecambe
chicken.
and Wise after Eric Morecambe died, and it had just been Ernie Wise, well, you wouldn't call it the Morecambe and Wise show.
No,
No chicken.
you wouldn't really call it a show.
So,
No chicken. So what else? It's a lot of...
well, there's noodles and there's
noodle.
and it's got the older ease.
Oh, look, there's 0.4% mushroom.
Has it got the ease of good in there? I'm sure it has.
Well, look, I don't want to. I don't know enough about nutrition, but I'm a man of certain expectations. Now, I know if you assume, you make an ass of Uma Thurman. But I did assume that there'd be chicken in pot noodle, chicken and mushroom. That's what. It's even got top billing. They didn't have the decency to call it mushroom and chicken, so at least put it in a lower...
There must be some
They've
chicken,
made it the head.
Frank.
There's no chicken.
No, there's no chicken. It's chicken and mushroom flavour.
But where do they get the flavour of chicken from?
For flavouring.
There's another bit that says something like mushroom fluid or something. Well, I don't even want to think about it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, Frank, we've had one of our readers. I love our readers for this reason and many others, but Nimu has got in touch. He or she has worked out how many mints you've consumed roughly.
I don't know if I should hear this. It might make me... I worry for my teeth with the mints.
Okay.
But go on.
Dear Frank, a pack of mints a day for 20 years. We're averaging
It's not,
20.
you know, this 20 years is not true. I reckon it's about 4 years.
Oh, really?
Okay, Nimu, could you recalculate,
Yes,
please?
I'm sorry to spread. I didn't correct it because I thought, well, no one's going to pick that up and run with it.
There's a lot of
Gonna do
maths
any
have
back
been
of the
done
envelope maths, yeah.
based
Exactly.
on the 10 mints in a pack.
Why are we
Okay.
discussing this where everyone's just accepting that there's no chicken in pot noodle, chicken and mushroom? I'm fessing
Well,
up
actually,
with the mints.
We've had somebody grumbling in a similar fashion to you. I think you'll
I wasn't
identify as-
grumbling. I was astonished.
Yeah.
You were. It's fine. It was entertaining grumbling. 677 has said, "Dear Frank and team, missing poultry and snacks. This happens at all levels." And they use a phrase I really enjoyed now. "I invested financially in a packet of Peking duck gourmet crisps. What a swindle. The ingredient list contained not even a beak, just hoisin flavouring." And that's from Mark.
But you know what? With crisps, I I don't expect a big lump of chicken on a crisp.
No, not since hedgehog flavour have we expected.
No.
To be.
Apparently.
Do you remember those, Al? I used to have those with my hooch.
Hedgehog flavoured?
Yeah, there was a brief jerky hedgehog flavoured crisp.
It's a cure for bedwetting, I believe, if you eat hedgehog.
Good use of "I believe."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to...
Asking for a friend.
It's just the absolute lawyer is doing like a cutthroat symbol at the other side of the window.
Oh, what, they were fine about the chicken pot noodle one.
I'll go to court on that. I've checked those ingredients.
You know what, reader? He will.
Yeah. Would be a great trial, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's it from the Johnny Depp trial. And now it's over to the Skinner pot noodle debate.
Live streaming.
Number 1 court at the Old Bailey. Oh man. Well, I mean, it was a typo on the ingredients. He got that.
Pot noodle and French on now.
Pot noodle and done it Raymond Blanc.
That's a pot noodle, they call it in France. Pot noodle.
I can see someone dressed as a pot noodle outside the Old Bailey.
Yeah, exactly. A protester guy. Oh man. I wish I hadn't gone into this mess now. No, sorry, that's me just having a pot noodle.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Dean Pugh.
Yeah, a lot of pot noodle news.
Dean Pugh ate a pot noodle that was 14 years old.
Legend.
And said, I quote in King Noodle, "I could only imagine licking the bottom of my granny's knicker drawer when I ate it."
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, horrible.
2 things there. Mm-hmm. 1, why bring it up? 2, ageism. It's the last ism we've been left with, and people drink it in mighty draughts, unreprimanded.
I do.
I would say.
Do you know what? I think that's quite a good thing to bring up in your trial if you give that to your lawyers.
Yeah. Well, I won't be against Pugh. Though. I think it's Skinner versus pot noodle. I think Pugh's only a character witness.
No, but he calls himself King Noodle.
He is King Noodle. Yeah.
You know, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
That's true.
Especially if it's 16 years old.
If I win, he'll have to go into exile. Mm-hmm. By the way, I should say that about 18 months ago, someone, I wish I could say the name, but there is no accompanying letter with this.
Story of my life, dear.
So I'm told. There's a comic called Pogs in Space. I don't know if you remember this, and it's like dogs in. And
something for me and you, Frank.
And I gave it to my son, and he absolutely loved it. And he said, "Great, when is the next one coming out?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm sure I'll be kept up." And we were sent Pogs in Space mugs, which we still use, badges, brilliant. Anyway, it went out, but it got my son into reading comics, and now he's reading like Avengers versus X-Men and all that stuff, which is brilliant because I read comics, and it's you're nice to see a bit of a mirror in your children. But today, I think it's 18 months later, the second comic in the series of Pogs in Space has arrived. So wow. It's like waiting for the next Joni Mitchell album, but I'm excited about it. So thank you, and I'm sorry I can't find the letter if there was one. Okay. What else?
Well, we have a little bit of an update from 533. Hi, Frank and team. Believe it or not, 8 of the 12 standard pot noodle flavours are vegan friendly, and the chunks of inverted commas meat are actually soya. All the best, Tom in Bury St Edmunds.
I'm fine with that. But why even mention meat at all if you're going to do that? You seem to me that you're selling it on a false pretense.
Yeah.
Why?
Allegedly. All right, Steve. Legal guy still giving me the cutthroat. Apparently they're very litigious, pot noodle.
Are they?
Dear.
Yeah, so let's be careful.
What about if the trial drags on for a long time? I just, I haven't got that many black suits.
What if I, at the end of my summing up, say I rest my case and then I put my Britney Spears pencil case down on the dock? The public gallery will be in stitches. I feel
People
confident.
coming forward to give evidence. Oh, be all sorts. Do you know, I've never had a pot noodle.
Oh, come on.
Things that don't surprise me. Number 307. If Al had said that, I would have fell off my chair. But of course you haven't had a pot noodle. But it would have been a nice precursor to your tarte de citron. Anyway, look, we move towards the end now, I think. I would, when I look back on this show, I think the thing that will give me a warm glow as I gaze into the darkness above my bed tonight will be that I managed to come up with a gag that combined Wagner's Lohengrin and chicken and mushroom pot noodle. You know what I mean? We don't build statues of Liberty and Empire State, but we have our little monuments that we think, yeah, I'm pleased with that. That was mine. Okay. So thank you so much for listening to us. And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.